Hey everyone, Brooke here. I hope wherever you are in the world, today is treating you well. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a very popular cosmetic procedure that many people get to fight aging, and that is known as Botox. I'm going to be talking about the pros, about the cons, and talk about maybe pivoting away from Botox and finding more of a natural way to help combat aging. Now, before I begin with today's video, if you like videos like this, if you like the different style videos that I post here on this channel, please do leave a comment in the comment section below, introduce yourself, and I look forward to seeing you around other videos. Now, with that said, let me jump into today's video. I'm going to do a quick disclaimer before I get into this video about my situation, my thoughts on Botox. This channel is very natural health, natural wellness. I'm someone who believes in aging gracefully and all that. But when I looked into Botox, I really tried to be more, non-biased. It's hard. Everyone's biased to something, but I really did try to be fair. However, this video is definitely going to be more heavy of a con. And with that said, I just want to say that I'm not a medical professional. I am not giving medical advice. I am literally just giving you my take on information that I compiled on the internet and am putting into a video. I am someone that believes that, you can really follow whatever beauty program you want. It's not my business. Do whatever makes you happy. But I just wanted to share my take on it, especially because on this channel, I'm someone that believes in following, again, more of a natural grace, natural aging type of program. So it is going to be a little biased. So if you're just trying to find out more information on more of the con sides that are not talked about for whatever reason, then this video will definitely be for you. So again, I'm not judging. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just sharing some information that I found and also my take on Botox. So with that said, I'm going to jump into today's video. Now, I have my computer, my laptop's right here. I'm going to try to get it on my green screen. If not, it's going to be just flowers and butterflies or, waterfalls or whatever else, mountains that I put back there. But I want to keep my computer here so I can reference different points that I'm trying to make. So for those of you who don't know, and there's also words I just cannot pronounce, which also proves to you I'm literally not a medical professional. I'm just a third-year plumbing apprentice. Let's talk about Botox, okay? So exactly what is Botox? Let me see if I can find something that's a little more easier to pronounce. All right, so it's actually the botulinum toxin, which I probably said that wrong. It's often shortened to Botox. It's a neurotoxic protein produced by the bacterium Clostridium botulinum and related species. So it's actually a neurotoxin, Botox. It prevents the release of the neurotransmitter from axon endings and the neuromuscular junction, thus causing flaccid paralysis. The toxin causes the disease botulism. Upon looking into Botox, I had no idea that Botox is actually a neurotoxin, and it's a very, very, very dangerous toxin that's on planet Earth here. Now, when Botox is done, it's done in such minute amounts of this toxin. So it's not like you're getting the full, effect of what this is. And I'll talk about this later, but there's like an LD50 test that is given to animals when they're doing animal testing for this, and that's another part of this video. But Botox itself is actually a neurotoxin, and used in small quantities, it is beneficial to help freeze wrinkles on the face. Like, let's say, for example, I'll use my face as an example. I've never gotten Botox, but I have cover up on. But like when I have smile lines, so it would be used for that. When I squint, I have like little the crow's feet. I don't really have 11s, but yeah, I have like little nasal folds or whatever. Like it can be injected here, here, here. Definitely have forehead wrinkles would be injected there, and it would freeze that area. So it would freeze the muscle, and it wouldn't be able to move. So that's why they say when you have like Botox face, like a lot of times if your face is frozen, like you're not able to really make expressions and whatnot. Generally that's done in really large amounts. In smaller amounts of Botox, it doesn't usually have that effect, but everybody's different. This again is a toxin, so it's gonna affect people differently, and your mileage may vary when it comes to that. But Botox is really a very interesting procedure that it really does do what it says. It does freeze the wrinkles in place. It's also used for people that suffer with TMJ, which is like my sister has it. It's like she grinds her teeth in her sleep. So TMJ, actually, the Botox helps to relieve jaw tension, helps to relieve, grinding of teeth. And like I said, my sister gets that. So it's something that helps her. But there's definitely uses for Botox. It's also used for other different type of medical issues. A lot of times it can be injected into the neck in different tension points to help relieve headaches. So Botox is not just for cosmetic. However, I would wager that a majority of people that use Botox is for, you know, preventative anti-aging, wrinkle, cosmetic procedures, as opposed to like TMJ or, you know, issues with their migraines. Botox is also useful for people who want to stop sweating or sweat profusely, and they get it in their armpits. So they'll get it and it'll last for about 6 to 9 months, so they won't sweat profusely or they won't sweat at all, which is another topic. Is that healthy? I mean, some people really enjoy it. So like I said, Botox is used for many different things and a lot of people swear by it. But with that said, Botox, again, a neurotoxin, there's no long-term studies on what Botox does to someone that injects it in their face for X amount of years. But I did come across some very jarring information about Botox, and this is where the video is kind of going to turn more biased, but it wasn't my intention. I was really trying to find more pros with Botox, and other than people liking Botox and believing that it's working for them, it's making them look younger, it does have a refreshing effect, especially when you first start getting it. If you're someone that has like harsh furrow lines and like deep, you know, forehead lines, and you get it, it's like very much of a pick me up. And that's where the addiction begins a lot, say, because it does make an impact in the beginning, but then continually using it every 3-4 months, $400-$500 later, cc's, all different types of you know, amounts that you have to use in your face. It gets very expensive and you need a lot more to have the same effect. And then that's where Botox, pillow face, you know, that's where all that stuff comes in. People get into fillers. They use fillers for underneath their eyes. Like, there's a lot of different reasons why people would get to getting it once in a while to looking like, you notice a lot of the celebrities look with like crazy faces. Like, they just look totally different. Madonna, perfect example. Damn shame. She was gorgeous. If she just leaned into her age, I mean, she would be such a role model for so many women her age and younger. Like, the fact that she feels like she has to bend to these societal norms and you know, just this ageist society is really sad, especially because she's a literal queen. You know, she's a friggin' pop star queen. So let's just do a quick rundown of the pros. So the pros would be that it has a refreshing effect. It does work. It does help minimize wrinkles. People say over time that it actually keeps the wrinkles at bay, but that leads into more of a con when you overuse other muscles, the migration of Botox. But the pro also is that it does help people with a TMJ, jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, tension headaches, sweating. It does have many different uses. In very small quantities, Botox can work well for a short period of time. Again, there's no long-term studies on what Botox does to the human body. However, there are definitely pros. And people who get it, who are advocates of Botox, swear that by getting small amounts, also called baby Botox, that it really does make a big difference, that they're still able to move their face around. However, their face is, you know, their forehead, they can still move, but it's just like frozen, which I don't know how that works. From what I've read, a lot of people talking about Botox, they enjoy it. So there's definitely a whole mass of people that use it, that swear by it. And there's also an exodus of people that have used it and do not recommend it at all. So that's going to bring us into the con section. And I apologize, I'm really trying to make this pro section longer, but I just have more cons with Botox. I'm just being honest. So the thing with Botox, okay, is, and I'm trying to figure out which part I really want to jump into, because they're all like rabbit holes. You hit one and then now you're falling down the medical rabbit hole for this one and for this one and for this one. But the first thing, let me talk about the fact that over time, when you get Botox, it could lead to atrophy of the skin. The issue with that is that, let's say you always get your forehead Botoxed, right? I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I just say Botox, but let's say you always get your forehead Botox, okay? Now, it's constantly getting Botox, you're getting it wherever, I'm not sure how Botox works, but you have certain areas. Let's say in the middle of the forehead, you have a deep line, so you get this Botox. All the surrounding areas, if it hasn't migrated, which is very common, when you inject anything into your body, a lot of times it can migrate. That's just what happens. That's a fact. So if it doesn't migrate and it stays in that one area, especially if you have someone that actually knows what they're doing, because that seems to be like the big consensus. You want to make sure you're going to an actual professional, not someone that's doing 100 different types of procedures a day. You want to get somebody that actually knows what they're doing. But if, let's say you get that, you know, 3 or 4 times a year, boom, 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 times 10. Now the surrounding area, this muscle starts to atrophy. You never want anything on your body to atrophy. Think about being in a hospital bed for 6 months and how the muscles, you have to retrain them and how you have to get your strength back. That's happening on your face. And that's happening with people who constantly abuse Botox. And I want to say overused, but it is really like abuse in a sense because it's really affecting your skin. So when you get the Botox, that's been done for 10 years. The surrounding areas of where you got the Botox, now they start to overcompensate for the fact that this piece of skin, this area, this muscle is just not working. And that's why people start to develop weird like muscles around their face, like weird facial muscles. And it creates an odd effect, especially when you see people, and it's the damn shame too, because there are so many beautiful people that get Botox, and some of them don't fall this way, but a lot of them do, where now you can see them from a mile away that they got work done. And now when they try to show emotion, it just has there's weird muscles that form. And that's because of the fact that you're atrophying certain parts of the face. It's not like your entire face is Botox, it's only certain areas. So like your 11s, your crow feet, your smile lines, your you know, deep forehead wrinkles, whatever. Like, and I know I'm missing a bunch, or nasal folds. Like there's a bunch of different areas that you do that for. And not even talking about fillers which go under your eyes and your cheeks, and it's like there's a lot that you can do with the face. But there are many people that swear that their face starts to, the areas of Botox over a period of time, it starts to atrophy. And that can lead into really dangerous territory, especially if the skin starts to die off, which is rare, definitely rare, but you're injecting a neurotoxin for a period of time into your face. It's going to have negative consequences and side effects. Another thing that's interesting, and I have to read this book because I'm fascinated. I read this comment on Reddit. I'm going to read it to you guys because I was actually fascinated when I read this comment. I was like, wow. And then there were other people that commented corroborating with this comment because apparently this is actually a thing and I never heard of it before. So David Eagleman, in his book, The Brain, talks about one side effect that I found surprising and fascinating. One way that we as humans are able to be empathetic is by micro-mimicking facial expressions. So for example, if someone smiles, we micro-smile. Our brain interprets our own micro-facial movements as a smile equals happy, and that helps us understand that the other person is happy. I'm simplifying a great explanation he gave of the science, but the bottom line is that Botox can disable your ability to make these micro-movements and thus to connect naturally and understand how someone else is feeling. There are obviously other cues on someone's emotional state. It just has to be a known impact in this ability to subtly clue in. So that's amazing because when people talk about the frozen Botox face, okay, it sounds, first off, it sounds insulting, and it's never, at least from when I talk about it, it's never to be insulting. It's just to be observant. Like, listen, like you're beautiful without it. And it's funny because, not to do a side note, but when I was doing my research about this, you know, there are people that make videos about like, oh, I'm not gonna get Botox because I want to be beautiful and all my face is a map, and like they're mimicking people who are against Botox, but it's true. It's true. But listen, like obviously everybody wants to have a youthful appearance for as long as they can. That's just a natural human thing. It's just aging. It's just what we want to do. As we get older, we want to look as youthful as possible for as long as possible. So I think it's natural that people would want to get Botox or get medical procedures that, A, there's a lot of people that talk about the pros, and B, not a lot of people talk about the cons, so that's kind of hidden, and you're kind of thinking like, oh, down the road I'll deal with it, down the road. So I don't personally, from someone who's not a fan of Botox, I'm not going to judge people who get it because I get it. So when people judge people who don't want to get it, it's like, it's kind of, you know, it sucks because it's like, well, look at both sides, you know what I mean? But when you talk about a frozen Botox face, or when we talk about it in a discussion, it's interesting because people really have that. People really have that. And a lot of times, like there were studies done that people who have like this more stoic face or have, you know, atrophy in the face, can't really move their face around, can't really make a lot of facial expressions, they're less trustworthy. People don't connect with them. And it's honestly more lonely because now you're not building relationships with people. And I feel like your face is, you know, granted, yes, you don't want to get many wrinkles as we get older. That's the beauty standard. God forbid you get a wrinkle, right? But when you do, it's you're more relaxed, you're more calm, you know? And I feel like people are so anxious around getting wrinkles. And I've seen some extreme wrinkles where people get Botox and it's like, wow, that's a difference. That's a major difference. So you could kind of get it, but that's in like, I don't know, more extreme situations. A lot of times it's just like, oh, if you look here, you could see the lines here, or oh, my smile or my face is drooping, which again leads into another con of possible face droop. So we have the fact that Botox is a neurotoxin. It can cause atrophy in your muscles that you can't get back, right? Because once you're killing the muscle, it's not gonna come back. And people go a long time. It takes a long time for that to actually leave their body, if it leaves it at all. And I'm talking about people who abuse Botox 10, 15, 20 years. And then we don't even have much data after that, because it's like, how long have people been using this? You know, I guess it's still like an ongoing trial, a human trial at that. You have the fact that you lose the microfacial expressions that connect you with another human being. Another thing with, and then of course you have the fact that your face is frozen, you can't make expressions, you can't clearly enunciate with your face, you know, certain like feelings that you want somebody to get. If you're like, oh my, wow, you know, like you really can't do that a lot, especially if you're getting it here and here, and you know, you just kind of look like I've seen it. And I'm in a unique situation in my life that, yes, I work in manual labor, but my children go to a school where it's very affluent people, you know, it's a private school, very affluent people get it, and go here, and I see a lot of the moms that get it. So it's like, I see that, and you can spot them a mile away, right? And again, it's not to judge people on their face and things like that, but I'm just saying it's an observation. A lot of times, you know, overuse over years of time, like you can tell when people get Botox. Maybe not at first. Maybe your face just looks shiny, you look more refreshed, you look more up, right? But over time, it's not something that you should be using, in my opinion, abusing over a long period of time. Once in a while, whatever, right? But people are on like a 3-month like clockwork getting it. It's just wild to me. So another point that I want to make is that Botox can often have the opposite effect of youth. It can actually make you look older. Now, I see an esthetician who is fantastic, and I've been seeing her for the last couple of years. One thing that I do in my life is that I get facials every month, and when I can afford it, because sometimes it's like, oh, it's too tight this month. And I also get hot stone massages because I work in the field and I'm sore, I'm lifting things up all day, my back's tight. So these are things that I do for my body. And we always get into deep discussions. I'm definitely not one of those patients or those clients that lay there and they just accept the facial, which I wish I was. I always gotta say something. I always gotta say something that's gonna lead into like a long friggin' talk, right? It's just who I am. I like talking to people. But one thing that I remember recently we talked about, and I've talked about this with the owner as well, is that they have clients that come into their facility, and a lot of times they have used Botox for many years, and they're all candidates for facelifts. All of them are candidates for facelifts, because what happens is when you get that, at least in what these professionals had told me, what they see is that you get filler, you get Botox, which are two different things. Botox freezes the area, filler fills it in. So a lot of times people will get filler under their eyes. That's a very popular filler point. And I get it because it's like I feel like it's one of the first signs of aging. Like I use concealer. That's just what I do. I'm not going to use filler. I use concealer because I get like, God forbid I get less than like 7 hours of sleep, I get black under my eyes. So what they had told me was that when you get these procedures, and a lot of times people get the filler and the Botox at the same time, or whatever, different procedures, but they have them in their face at the same time, it starts to weigh down on your face. When your muscle is atrophied, it starts weighing down. It stops being like a strong muscle unit, and now it's getting broken down. So your face is actually, the skin is starting to sag, and they get something that's called droop. And I saw some commenters that were talking about when they would get Botox, the reason why they had stopped is that there was asymmetry, their face was off. So like one side would be drooping, the other side would be lifted, or, you know, whatever. And that could have to do with the people who administer the Botox for sure. I'm not ruling that out. But enough people have said that over time, it's as if their face is starting to droop, or at least certain parts are starting to droop. And oftentimes, Botox is not going to fix that. Botox is something that is powerful in small quantities over, you know, for longer stretches of time. So it doesn't last. It doesn't last, but it stores up in your body. People say, oh, it's gone, it leaves your body, but look at people that get lip fillers and tell me that it leaves their body. A lot of times they have to get them to actually dissolve, which they don't do. They think it's just gonna leave. And it will go down, but you still have that like look, you know, especially if you were abusing lip fillers for years. Maybe if you've done it a couple times, it'll go down, it'll go back to normal, but I'm talking over like the long period of time. And this is why we get into slippery slope territory with Botox and fillers and these cosmetic procedures, because these women who are coming in having to get facelifts, and they're talking about the fact that they thought Botox would prevent that. They didn't know that going into it. So if somebody sat them down and like, listen, Botox can do a wonderful thing for lifting your face up, making you feel brighter, making you look brighter, making your eyes widen, like it can do a lot of these things, but know that there's a side effect to it. There's a lot of side effects to it. You may be one of the lucky ones that don't see it at first, but over a period of time, over a long stretch of time, You're going to see it because they always look the same. That's what happens. And, you know, I always say it all the time, like, not to get lost in this, but with Father Time, you cannot beat Father Time. He wins, he's undefeated. Undefeated champion of the world, right? You cannot beat this guy, right? So the best thing that you can do is to age with Father Time, right? And I think by using Botox, it's such a weapon in many women's arsenal for their anti-aging defense. However, they don't realize that it's actually hurting them in the long run. So when you're using Botox, people will say, like, I've seen people that got Botox, I didn't know they got Botox, but I'll see the same person 3 years later, I'm like, she gets Botox. Like, I can tell she gets Botox, you know, and that's actually one of my very close friends, adore her to pieces, but she gets Botox, and she started out, looked great, now you can tell. And she's even saying, like, that her face, like, it's just changing. It's changing, and it's not changing for the better. So she's thinking about dissolving them or not getting them anymore. And she also is a candidate, gets lip fillers, all that stuff. So yeah, Botox can also have the opposite effect of what you're trying to achieve, which is anti-aging, which is youth. And it's something that people really need to consider because a facelift is an extreme measure, in my opinion. Like, imagine getting Botox, investing thousands of dollars, right? I don't know anything about the CCs and things like that, but from what I read, it's about $400, $400 to $500 every 3 months. So times that by 10, times that by 15, times that by 30 by the time these people who are getting it actively in their 20s are going to start really noticing that they're going to have to get other procedures done to combat the abuse of Botox. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. No one's going to invest in that if they think that at the end of it, there's going to be these issues that they're going to have to deal with. And again, not everyone needs that, but this woman had enough. She was, this esthetician personally, she's gotten lip, under eye fillers, and they look good. I can't tell. Again, like, when you first get them, it looks good, in my opinion. Like, sometimes it looks good. Sometimes if not done right, you can tell. But she said that she was so spooked by that she's just going to age naturally. She's just going to make sure she's using great skincare products. And this is an esthetician, a literal esthetician. This was both of them. This was the one that I use and the owner. And they were both so spooked by the amount of women that come in that are having issues after long-term use of Botox. So just something to consider. You know, that's just my experience with that avenue. You know, I thought it was really interesting. I wanted to include it in this video. So I apologize if I'm rambling. It's just, there's so much, you know, there's so much that it's kind of hard. It kind of seeps into one another. It migrates into one another. And I guess that's a great shift from the looking older topic to the migration topic. Like, there's no guarantee that getting Botox in one area is not going to migrate to other places. And actually, that's a side effect of Botox, is that there's possible migration factors. So if it migrates, and a lot of times, like, the side effect would be possibly getting poisoned because it's now going into other areas of your body. People say they have rapid heart rate, they have issues with their vision. I mean, it's a high price to pay, a high chance to take if you just wanted to combat a wrinkle, you know what I mean? So this is another reason why people, when they say, oh, you get it in your lips, it stays in your lips, it's just simply not true. If you ever look at people that get lip injections, a lot of times, and again, I'm gonna see if hopefully I can throw different pictures up here, but you're gonna see that there's like a literal like lip mustache. Like, they get like a lip mustache, a lip filler mustache, or filler stash, that's what they call it. And you're getting injected here, but the filler is migrating. So I'm not even gonna zoom in because you guys are gonna see my mustache hairs. But yeah, like, for me, I think lip filler would look great on me. I'm never gonna do it though. I'm never gonna do it. I'm literally just gonna wear things that'll make my lips pop in color wise, but I won't ever put a needle to my face. It's just something that I'm not gonna do, you know? And I guess as I get older, it'll be more tempting, but I'm just not gonna do it. I believe that Botox, water is the real Botox, in my opinion. It really hydrates your skin, it fills you out, it fills out your wrinkles to an extent, but it makes you more like vibrant, you know? So the migration thing is a real issue. And there are studies, actually. Is this what I wanted to bring up? Oh, okay. This is for Botox injected directly to stop TMJ. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the migration is a real problem. And that's, again, another reason why you'll see some people, they just start getting lumpy because things just start moving, you know? And when it doesn't move, let's say you get Botox exactly in the right spot, like I mentioned earlier, now you're atrophying all around the Botox area. I'm sorry, you're overusing all around the Botox area that is currently atrophying. So your body's always going to overcompensate. The human body is the smartest computer. It is a fantastic computer. It is a fascinating computer. And it'll always find ways to continue to doing things as normal, to keep operations, going smoothly, regardless of what you're putting in your face. It's going to make it, so that it can kind of overcompensate, do whatever it can do. But at some point, it's like, it can only do so much, So this is going to take me into something that I actually have to send my sister, because my sister gets Botox directly into her jaw. There's a report back in 2020, February 27, 2020. It says decreased mandibular cortical bone quality after botulinum toxin injections in masticatory muscles in female adults. So what it's trying to say is that when people get the Botox directly into their bone, there's mass bone increase over a period of time. And there's another from tmj.org. There's further research that says further evidence that Botox injections can cause bone loss in the jaw. And it's a whole article. I'm gonna pop it up here. If not, I'm gonna leave it in the comment section below, or I'll put it in the description. But it literally examines, and this is gonna get into a topic that I don't really wanna bring up just yet, or I might be ready to bring up. The animal experiments that they've done with injecting, with doing the TMJ treatments on rats and other animals, bunnies, they find that there's a massive decrease in their bone usage. So they'll hit like one side of the jaw, and then the other side that they won't leave. And then they'll have another animal where it'll be in like a saline injection, and they'll compare it, and there's a markedly decrease in the bone mass over a period of time by injecting Botox into the bone. A lot of people say too, like that I was reading about, my sister only started getting these a couple years ago, and I'm actually very concerned for her after reading this, but it like narrows the bone. So it gives your face this more svelte look. It makes it more narrow, but it's because it's bone loss, And there was this one gentleman online that was talking about how he needed it so bad because he had horrible TMJ, really grinding his teeth, lost teeth because he was grinding his teeth, which is weird because that actually runs in my family too. But yeah, it's an issue, it's an issue. And he was saying that he noticed bone loss, and he was at the dentist and they said, like, stop getting the Botox injection, which they were the ones to suggest it. So he's like, how do I build that muscle back up? Like, what can I do? Can I get like different injections, like cortisol injection, whatever I can do to build that muscle back up? And that's what or build that bone up rather, the bone. Like you can't even, muscle's one thing, the bone is another thing. So the fact that this is causing that type of degradation in a bone, imagine what it's doing to your soft skin tissue. Like we're soft. Human beings are soft. And you're putting this neurotoxin in your body because you're worried about a friggin' wrinkle. I'm not trying to be like disrespectful, but still, like, come on, like perspective, people, perspective. So aside from that, I have such a long list. I'd probably do a part 2 on this. If anybody has any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below. I get too like involved, you know what I mean? This is why I love doing a podcast, because I love talking about these type of topics. Asymmetry of the face, that's a thing that happens. This actually happened to my girlfriend, who's a current Botox user, avid Botox user. She got Botox above her eyes. She said that like the one eye, she sent me a picture. I'm not gonna put her on blast, but she had the one eye pulled it up. So it like pulled her I can't even say this, her eyebrow up, and it looked like an arch. It looked like a McDonald's arch, and it looked ridiculous. It actually looked scary, and I thought she was joking. And then she's like, no, Brooke, oh my God, look at me. And then she was showing me different pictures, which were funny. She's brushing her teeth, and it's got the arch, and like, it took a little while. It took a couple weeks, but after that was done, she's like, oh, now I love how it looks. And I'm like, girl, come on. You know what I mean? Like, it just made you look like a joker. You know what I mean? Like, you just looked like a joker. You were upset, and now it went away, and, it went down more, but it was still real, like, high and tight, and she likes that look, so whatever. But there are people that get it, and if they hit a wrong area, immediate droop. You know what I mean? So, like, it's the technician that does it, but it's also the amount of abuse your body's gonna take with getting it done. I don't think anybody who goes into getting Botox is trying to hurt themselves. I think they're literally just trying to combat aging. We're all trying to do it in one way or another. It's just a lot of pressure on us as a society. And that's another reason too, like, I'm like a weirdo because I have such strong opinions on things, but I always look at the other side. Even if I don't agree with it, I'm always looking at the other side. I'm like, well, there are some things that I'm like, not looking on the other side of that. But when it comes to things like this, like, I get it. I have a lot of empathy for people, and I know why they would do that. But I'm just trying to share other side because, listen, like, when you look up Botox, and do it yourself, like, unless you're looking up the cons of Botox, when you look up Botox, it's always minimizing the insane side effects that you can get. And there's enough people out there that are not, like, they're like, listen, I'm never getting it again. I had a horrible experience with it. It's not happening. And I guess the same could be said for other medical procedures, but something about Botox really bothers me because it's one of those things that I feel like it's like smoking cigarettes, My mom smoked cigarettes when she was pregnant with me, and I was born in 1986, and it was like, I have pictures of being like a toddler where my uncle, he's 80 years old now, Native American, amazing guy, but he was smoking a cigarette in the picture with me. I'm a little girl, like holding a rattle or whatever, and like the guy's smoking a cigarette. It was so like commonplace. It wasn't like, I guess she told me around then it was kind of like more people were starting to like not do that, but my mom had 7 kids, smoked all 7 kids, and she now has a lot of guilt on it because it's one of those things where they did it and now they're seeing the side effects. That's 36 years later, you know what I mean? It's like they're seeing the side effects of what smoking does. And a weird thing happened to me when I went to a dentist, not to get lost in the weeds, but a couple years ago, you know, I always had an issue with cavities because I should have gotten braces when I was a kid. Didn't get braces, didn't know I needed braces. I was like on the cusp of maybe needing them and not needing them, and my parents didn't get them. So it was, my teeth were always like narrow. I just realized my hair looks insane. I'm sorry, guys. My teeth are always like narrow. They kind of come in this way. So a lot of times I can get like cavities really easy. That's why I'm trying to stay away from cookies, but they're so good. But anyway, you know, so I could get cavities really easy. And one time I had a cavity that was so weird. I thought it was a stain in my tooth. And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And it was like a dot. And my dentist, who I absolutely adore, he thinks I'm like completely insane, but he's great. He like clears out, you know, gives me Novocaine, whatever, clears it out. He takes a little like poker thing and he sticks the poker in there, and he's like, I haven't seen a pinhole cavity like this in a long time. And he was like, did your mom smoke when she was pregnant? And I was like, yeah, she did. She was an avid smoker. And he was like, that's a common side effect of women who smoke during pregnancy. What happens to their kids? They get these weird cavities. And that's something that I deal with now as an adult, you know? So I'm just saying, like, with Botox, it's one of those things, like, you really don't know what that's going to look like later on. You really don't know. And for those of you who don't have any side effects, that's amazing, and I'm happy for you. I'm not just saying that to be condescending. Like, I'm happy that you're not having that, because side effects to anything suck. But for those of you who are getting it and they're kind of like, I don't know if it's really worth it, really reconsider getting it. I was also reading a lot of comments of people who have been getting it for years and they want to stop, but they're scared that as soon as they stop, that's it. Now it's like, it's kind of like the Rapunzel thing, where, like, you know, like the mom was brushing her hair and it would, like, the movie I thought was awesome. I love the movie, the Disney movie that came out. And I'm not like a Disney person, but I thought it was a cute movie. When she would brush the hair of Rapunzel, like, she would get like invigorated. And then when she didn't have the hair to brush, like, it showed who she really was, type of thing. So some of those people say they have that complex where, like, if they stop getting the Botox, they don't want to see like what they're really gonna look like. And it's a damn shame, because you're beautiful, you know, like, you're beautiful. If you're a good person, and you know what I mean, like, you're good to other people, like, you're a beautiful person, you deserve to, like, you know, be who you are, type of thing. And I guess that's why people make fun of people who are against Botox, because they're like, oh, you're so woo-woo. But it's just like, my ego's not a 15, you know, and that's probably why. And I try to see people for who they are, not what they look like. Now I'm gonna get into the thing that I didn't want to get into, because I hate this topic with a fiery passion. I get so mad. And everything around Botox is scary, okay, in my opinion. Everything around Botox, the risks, this, that, and the third, whatever. But I could still see an argument for Botox. I can see an argument for Botox. But when it comes to this topic, when it comes to this it's complete insanity from on a karmatic level, on just an empathy level, on a human level, on, I don't even know, like, on just like a decency level, to get Botox, knowing what entails the testing part of it to get Botox. Now, Botox is touted as a vegan product. It's touted as an animal cruelty-free product. But however, it's not vegan, it's cruelty-free. But however, it's not cruelty-free, because for every dose, for every batch of Botox, they have to test on animals. And the testing, I literally had to stop watching. I'm not even gonna throw pictures up there. I'm not gonna do anything like that. I can't stomach it, I'll start crying. I literally got sick to my stomach when I was reading how these animals get tested on. I friggin' hate animal testing. It is the most barbaric method that we use to see what works for humans. I hate it. I think it's disgusting. I think it's evil. I hate it so much. And this is where, like, my radical animal rights side is gonna come out. But Botox in particular, it's in high concentrations. There's it will kill you. It will kill you. And what they do with making sure that the batch of Botox is appropriate for a human is that they test the different LD50 levels. And LD50 is a test that they do on animals, and it causes extreme pain. It causes extreme pain and suffering on these animals. They'll take a bunch of mice, right? And they'll give them a little bit, like they do with humans, and then they'll increase it. And obviously, as it increases, the more severe the pain happens. You know, the more severe the pain, the pain and the torture happens. And these animals are, they're paralyzed. They suffer extreme pain. They have vicious vomiting. They go into seizures. You know, they can't move one side of their body. They get like freak show type of side effects. And it's like, there's a part of me that's like, how could you know that? The extreme, and I'm not even getting into all of the different types of tests they do for animals, but you have bunnies that they literally, they'll paralyze one side of their face, they'll paralyze different parts of their body, they can't move, and they're being tested on. Can you imagine not being able to move and being cut open and being tested on? I mean, it's disgusting. It's literally like, how could you know that? And then get a product for beauty and wear it proudly. I love Botox. Your Botox use was directly responsible for killing thousands of animals. Like your continuing Botox use has paralyzed countless amount of animals. How could that possibly be, you know, go hand in hand? How could you get beauty from death? How could you get beauty from torture? You know what I mean? Like, so with me, like, and it's not to get on my high horse and things like that, but just Google it. Just Google the way they do these animal testing. It's literally disgusting. It makes me so pissed off because people are so superficial in the sense that they just care what things look like. They don't care what it looks like beyond, you know, and they just, it's just disgusting to me. It bothers me so much. I've read different parts of the world that, like Ireland, for example, is the largest tester of Botox products, Ipsen products, which are Botox. Just Botox is just used to describe this procedure. They do the largest amount of animal testing. And in 2008, they were testing for every batch of Botox, it would be 100 mice that would get tested on. So when people want to say, oh, it's a vague, you know, amount of product, it could be tons of product, it's not a lot of product. And for every injection that you're getting, you have to think of the fact that there's an animal that was in a cage somewhere that is paralyzed, dying, bleeding, and dead. But death would come to them too soon because Botox, being the neurotoxin that it is, it acts fast, but in lower doses, like you're seeing, so millions of people get Botox and they're fine with it, right? Like in small doses. When you get under the lethal level, it causes extreme pain. It's an extremely cruel practice. And I know that there are definitely organizations like PETA and other organizations that are trying to stop the animal testing because it's so dangerous. It's so unethical. It's unethical to like such a core. And even if Botox, even if none of these things existed, right? I wouldn't get it for the sole principle that I don't like the fact that there's no long-term studies. I'm not fighting Father Time. I'm trying to be friends with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're trying to be cool. The sole reason that they kill so many hundreds of thousands of mice a year and bunnies and other animals, God only knows what else they do with these animals, that would be the number one reason I wouldn't get it. Aside from all of the actual side effects, that would be the number one reason why I wouldn't get it. And as someone who is a huge animal lover, you know, you can't, and I know people that get it that are vegan, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You know, like, what is wrong with you? I just want to shake them and be like, are you freaking crazy? Who cares if you didn't eat that burger? You know, if you're going to get Botox, which is a direct, you know, animal cruelty relation to what's in your skin, you know, it's insane to me. And as someone who, again, I try not to ever put myself on like this like moral soapbox and things like that. You know, I'm a hot mess. I'm a different type of chick. Like I'm a plumber. There's so many things people can judge me on, you know, but when it comes to that, that's something since I was just like a little kid that I just could never hurt an animal. I'd see roadkill. You know, I've had videos where I've talked about like, I do like, you know, the Hail Mary for roadkill. I still do that. I'm a grown woman. My kids see me do that. Like, I don't care. I have so much empathy for animals, and I'm happy that there's like a cell-based approach. They're trying to use different cell-based tests to do Botox testing. This was back in 2011. Now they're like talking about it as recent of 2020. So hopefully that happens, because I just feel like even from a karmatic point of view, right? Even from a karmatic point of view, not to say I'm someone that's always like, oh, karma's gonna get you type of thing, but think about it, right? Like, you're trying to be anti-aging. You're trying to be anti-aging. You're taking care of your skin. You're getting Botox. You're getting all these cosmetic procedures. You're feeling good about yourself. You know, you want to look good, whatever. But then on the flip side of it, something had to suffer for you to get there. You do the best that you can where you can, right? But when you're actively seeking a treatment that is a direct cause of the pain and suffering of hundreds of thousands of animals, I just have a problem with it, and I just can't see how that's really something that's going to work out for you in the long run, just from a karma point of view, you know? Not to say people deserve it, but I feel like I wish people would just think about that, because it's out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people, you know, if they're not seeing it, if they're not in front of it, they're not going to have any feelings about it, because we just bury our heads into our phones and don't care. That's just what it is. We just don't care. We've lost the humanity of our society. I think a lot of people have, people are stressed out, they got a lot going on, and that's just one more thing they don't want to take on in their emotional bank. But if you're someone that's paying for an expensive procedure that's directly contributing to the deaths and the suffering of hundreds of thousands of animals, I think it's something you should consider. With that said, Botox, the summation of this video is that there is enough reason not to get Botox than there is to get Botox. The few pros that are Botox are grossly outweighed by the cons that is Botox. If you're someone that gets it, my question to you would be, what are your goals in 15 years for your skin, for your life, for, you know, your empathy bank, right? But what are your goals, right? Are you ever trying to look for a more relaxed look as you age, or are you looking for that plastic look? Because there's a lot of people with that plastic look. You know, look up Madonna, look up younger celebrities that are starting to have that plastic look, like Kylie. That's crazy. You know, she's a pretty girl, but she completely changed her face and she's now got that pillow look. She's like 25 years old, you know? It's crazy to me. Same thing with like Trisha Paytas. I mean, not that she's a celebrity at all, but she's someone that grossly abused fillers and Botox, and then just the type of person that she is, it's like that, it brings it out, you know what I mean? So what are your goals? What are your health goals? What are your you know, beauty goals? Is it to look like that? Because some people love that caricature look and like the, you know, that whole look. Like that's a whole other topic. Like they're into like the big lips and like the, you know, the shiny forehead and like the fake, you know, aesthetic. So it's really about what you want. But in me and my house and my life and what my goals are is that I don't want to put things into my body that doesn't have a long track record of like what it actually does to you in 40, 50, 60 years. Brooke here, popping back in. I know it's super random, but as I was editing this Botox video, I realized that I did not give you some ways that you can naturally reduce wrinkles, naturally diminish the signs of aging, and give you some other pointers that I use in my daily life. So sorry about that. I knew once I touched on the animal testing part though that I was gonna lose my train of thought. So that's exactly what happened. So here's a couple of things that I do in my own skincare routine that I believe help. Again, it's not bulletproof. It's not gonna freeze your face, but it is going to help in reducing the signs of aging in my personal opinion. So the first thing is going to be your water intake. A lot of people say that, and I know it's cliche and annoying, but it's very, very true. You know, water, in my personal opinion, is truly the real Botox because it helps to hydrate your skin, it fills in those cells, it helps to push the wrinkles out more, and it really hydrates your face. And it does it from a point that topical creams can't do. You know, aside from injecting a needle in your face, I think water is really the Botox that people want to utilize and use. And, you know, it comes from within, not from outside, that you can just pour on. I think that increasing your water intake is probably the most important skincare routine that anybody can utilize in their day-to-day life. I'm someone that drinks about a gallon of water a day. I carry this gigantic gaudy water size, you know, water bottle, and it's by the coldest water bottle. I've put reviews on this channel before about it, but it helps me to, all problems aside that I have with it, it helps me to get my water in. So I highly recommend increasing your water intake. Water is the true pinnacle of hydration, in my opinion. I don't think anything else comes close. Smoothies are great, you know, juices are great, but when it comes to water, you know, we're made of like 70% water. I think that's just something that we really should have in our diets, and good water, good filtered water. I use water by Mountain Valley Spring water. It's a little expensive, but I'm very serious about my water intake. Like some people are very serious about getting certain cosmetic procedures. Another thing is, you know, be careful with what you eat. Eating a lot of dehydrated foods such as chips, you know, eating a lot of sugary sweets like cookies and candies and things like that, that taxes your skin. Not only does it cause breakouts, but it also takes moisture out of your skin, which will help the formation of wrinkles faster. If they weren't already starting, it definitely helps speed the process up. It also makes your skin softer in the sense that when you get Botox, it gets more thin. Your skin over time, it stretches, it gets more thin. And the same thing happens when you eat a lot of sugary sweets. A lot of times your skin will get crept, I think it's called. Not so much on your face, on different parts of your body, but it's something that you want to avoid because if it's on one part of your skin, it's going to affect the other parts of your skin. You know, we have a body, we have different parts of our body, but the skin is all one organ. So it's important to really take care of your skin when you're considering skincare, even if it's just for your face and not your feet, let's say. Another thing that you want to avoid is something that is very prevalent in our society. It's something that a lot of people do, and that is alcohol. To the best of your ability, I know some people like to drink on occasion with friends and family and, you know, work colleagues, whatever, but really try to reduce your alcohol intake. Alcohol will siphon the water out of your skin and create a dry face. It will definitely bring on aging. I know a lot of people say that alcohol is actually anti-aging, but when it comes to hydration of your skin, that's really what you want to focus on. What I use is, I use a whole product line by the Body Deli. I use nutripeptide creams that help fill in the wrinkles. It's supposed to be like line reduction. And I do all these things, but water is like my number one thing that I do. And I know some people will be like, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to start drinking water when I was getting Botox and it was working faster and better and longer and all this other stuff. But water actually works longer, water works better, and water actually helps your entire health as opposed to just your face. So I use nutripeptide cream, I use vitamin C cream, I use an under eye cream. I'm gonna have a separate video on just like all of the products that I use. I use an Osea blend from the company Osea and the Body Deli. I really try to stay away from like chemicals that I can't pronounce in facial creams. I try to stay away from things that are like, especially alcohol. There's so many products that are moisturizing for your face, but they contain alcohol, which immediately zaps your skin of moisture, which is crazy to me that people would say that alcohol is anti-aging, because it does that. It zaps your skin of moisture. Even if you're using the best serums and creams and everything else, I think it's just important to stay away from. Another thing that I do is I cover my face. Now, I do use a light sunscreen. I'm not a big proponent of using sunscreen without covering. I think people who put sunscreen on and then think like, oh, everything's good, I'm not gonna worry about it. You really should cover your skin. So when I'm at work, because I work outside all the time, I literally have my shades, I have a hat, and I have a this gaiter that I got from Solberry. It's an Australian sunwear company, and they have great products. I also use their gloves, which is silly. It's like driving gloves, but I use them because when you're driving, you know, the sun can hit your hands and it can, you know, just increase aging. It could just, the sun exposure for someone with me, I have light skin. I get like these like marks, and I'm wearing concealer right now, but I'll get like these like beauty marks or moles or whatever. Beauty mark sounds better. So I try to stay away from the sun, because even if you're wearing sunscreen, still, it's important to cover your face. Put a hat on, do something, cover as much as you can, because the sun is just, it's unforgivable. It'll age your skin, it'll cause issues, it'll expose you to possible skin cancer. So it's important to really take that into consideration as well. I'm trying to think of what else I do. It's really just following, like eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. It sounds cliche again, but there's so many vitamins that we get from the food, and not even as much as we used to get from the food. Back in the 50s, you know, with the over farming of land and things like that, like we're not getting as many vitamins as we used to get. So that's why it's so important to really try to eat a more clean diet, like a cleaner diet. Stay away from a lot of bread. Stay away from things that are going to take your body a lot to process, because that's going to make you look older. Fried foods, onion rings, you know, heavy meat things, like just use it in moderation. Don't eat it all the time. You know, some guys that I work with, like they live off of like, you know, McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell's like the, you know, what everybody talks about. And it's like, this stuff's garbage, and it's going into your skin and it's taxing your body and it's pulling the moisture out of your skin. Like it's all about hydration and putting the hydration back into your skin. Another thing too is just, you know, the screen time. Like a lot of people like wearing glasses, but that's a big reason too why I went back to a light phone, which is a basic type of phone that I'll do a review on soon. But like stuff like I use my iPhone for apps, but you know, people are like this, the blue light from the phone it's like giving you, you know, it's giving you exposure to that light, that digital light that we don't even have enough research on to say what it's going to do in 50 years, you know? So these are all things to consider. I think the fastest approach is to really just make sure your diet's cleaner than maybe it was a couple days ago, the day before today. Maybe you're like, I'm not going to eat any more, you know, refined foods, which are just, it's youth zapping in my opinion. I'm gonna eat better, I'm gonna drink a lot of water, which is like the #1 way to really help with anti-aging in my opinion. I don't think you have anything else if you don't have water, you know what I mean? Yeah, but with that said, I can ramble about this a lot. I'm gonna share a skincare routine separate video, because this is already getting very long and I apologize about that. Really like just focus on actually like tending to your body, caring for your body. Don't work against it. You know, medical intervention is fantastic, and I'm grateful to live in a time where if God forbid I needed something like that, I could get it. But it's just so overindulged in our society. I feel like there's better ways, more natural ways that we can obtain the same result and have it last longer and just be more efficient. But with that said, I'll let you guys all go. I hope you all got a lot out of this video. I know I rambled a lot and I do apologize. I tried to give as many points as I could. Unfortunately, as we got towards the end, I'm so against animal testing. It's hard for me to hide, but I do hope you're able to pick up some interesting tips, some facts, and kind of reassess your relationship with Botox and other cosmetic procedures. And of course, the other thing to talk about, which I won't jump too much into, is loving who you are and who you see in the mirror. And I think in a society where we're always feeling like we're not enough, we're competing with AI technology, we're competing with each other, there's social media that's saying we're not good enough. I think it's a right of rebellion when you look at yourself and you're like, I am good enough. My story tells a picture, my wrinkles tell a picture, my face tell a story of what I've been through in my life. And meeting people that feel the same way is a magical thing, because we do live in such a vain, selfish society. And I really hope that the tide is turning for people to embrace more natural procedures, embrace each other, and just not judge each other by the way that we look. So with that said, I'll let you guys go. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will check you back again on the next video. Take care, friends.